Christopher Nolan is a renowned director who has released many acclaimed movies, but perhaps his most famous piece of work is the Dark Knight Trilogy, and although it ended more than a decade ago, Nolan should work with one of the franchise's stars again. The Dark Knight Trilogy began in 2005 when Nolan directed and co-wrote, with David S. Goyer, Batman Begins. The superhero film wasn't expected to do well, but it blew its low expectations out of the water by being a critical and commercial success. Consequently, 2 sequels followed, both directed by Nolan, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. The highly acclaimed Dark Knight trilogy thrust Nolan into the spotlight, making him the distinguished filmmaker he is today. His talent, which was showcased in Batman Begins, opened the door to a world of possibilities. Following his work on the Dark Knight trilogy, Nolan has released many acclaimed movies: Inception, Dunkirk, Oppenheimer, and more. So, Nolan can essentially tell any story he wants to on the big screen and work with anyone he desires, which should include an actor from Nolan's Batman films. Christopher Nolan should work with Christian Bale again, but not for Batman. The Dark Knight 4 doesn't need to happen to reunite Nolan and Bale. Christian Bale was the face of the Dark Knight trilogy as he starred as Bruce Wayne/Batman in all 3 films. As a result, Bale is one of the actors that Christopher Nolan has worked with the most, but that doesn't mean that their partnership should have ended after The Dark Knight Rises. However, it did, as Bale and Nolan have yet to collaborate on another project since 2012. Thankfully, there is still time to rectify that mistake as Nolan rides on the success of Oppenheimer into his next movie and Bale searches for his next project. Despite most of their working relationship being spent on Batman, Bale and Nolan's next film shouldn't be The Dark Knight 4. It has been more than a decade since the trilogy ended, and Hollywood doesn't need another Batman movie. Robert Pattinson is the latest actor to play the Caped Crusader on the big screen, and James Gunn is introducing a new version of Batman with the DC Universe. So, Bale and Nolan must look elsewhere if they work together again. Both men are quite talented, meaning it shouldn't be difficult to jump from The Dark Knight to a different project. Christopher Nolan has only worked with Christian Bale in only one non-Batman movie. Nolan and Bale also worked on The Prestige together. Christian Bale performing a coin trick in The Prestige. Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan demonstrated that they could successfully work together outside the world of Batman with the twist-filled film The Prestige. Nolan's psychological thriller debuted 1 year after Batman Begins and featured Bale as one of the main characters, Alfred, the Professor, Borden. The Prestige received critical acclaim, it was nominated for 2 Oscars, and grossed $109.7 million. Given its success, The Prestige is a significant example to point towards when arguing that Nolan and Bale should reunite to work on another movie outside the confines of the Dark Knight trilogy.